So, welcome to the CrossFit Canada podcast. Usually telling the story of Canadian affiliate owners and coaches, but we do have we are a member of the British colony or the British Commonwealth, and so Denise, you fit in today.
Thank you.
But yeah, really excited and honored to have my guest Denise Thomas in. If you don't know Denise, shame on you, but hopefully by the end of this conversation you will. Um, how we kick this off, it's like if you were to come do a drop in at my affiliate, you would introduce yourself, say what affiliate you're currently coaching at, or multiples if you are. And question of the day is, we know you are from across the pond. Do you have a food that you can only get in England that whenever you go home to visit, that's one of your go-tos?
Okay, so my name is Denise Thomas. I already forgot all the questions, but I'm going to just run with it. I have been coaching CrossFit since 2009. I coach currently at a gym in Needham, Massachusetts called CrossFit One Nation. This is my basement affiliate, CrossFit Wild Freedom. And the food that we can really only get in England when I visit at home, I don't know if you can only get it in England. I'm sure you can get it other places, but it's never as good as when it's in England. It's just your classic Sunday roast. You know, your meat and your gravy and your veggies and your potatoes and your Yorkshire puddings. No one does it better than England.
Okay, the whole country kind of just goes full roast every Sunday.
It's
Is it the
like it
gravy? Is that the diff?
the gravy is important. I really like personally, my mom would always do parsnips and Brussels sprouts. And I love them. And I also really loved roast potatoes. They were really yummy, but it's the whole thing. It's like, you can't just have one without the other. It's like compound yet irreducible, Matt. We need it all to get the greater effect.
Functional dinners.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so I do appreciate that, for hopefully the tens of people listening to this maybe know you as the host of the CrossFit podcast officially. What is your title? I was thinking about this is like from the outside looking in, have seen you exposed in many different ways. So I think of like, is your title Chief Dabbler? You just happen to dabble a little bit in everything, or
Chief CrossFit Gypsy. Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
It's a good question because my title officially with CrossFit doesn't really explain what I do for CrossFit, but I think currently right now it's kind of coach development program manager. Um, but that again, that only touches on maybe one aspect of what I do for CrossFit.
But that's how, if anyone was to YouTube Denise Thomas CrossFit, they would probably find a video of you teaching a group of people the front squat in a red hoodie outside with the peace fingers, give us a kiss, that I still use to this day. Um, but so when did you, I want to kind of start back to the beginning and then take this somewhere. You mentioned it. When did you start coaching CrossFit? And when did you first take your level one? Maybe
I
one
first
answers the other first.
Yeah, well, you would hope, right? So I took my level 1 in June of 2009. I started CrossFit in the winter of 2008, and then I started coaching CrossFit pretty much straight away, but not in an affiliate. It was in a facility in New York City, sports performance facility where I would kinda just sneak it in, because I didn't have anywhere else to do it. And I started coaching seriously CrossFit when a good friend of mine, Dave Lipson, actually, who introduced me to most of my journey in CrossFit, said, "Hey, you should intern for CrossFit seminar staff." And when I decided to do that, I realized that I had to coach more in an affiliate or at least get eyes on me coaching by people that are working in the red shirt for CrossFit. And that's really when it kind of began in that I'd say fall of 2009.
Do you remember your first workout?
Yes. Yes, I do. It was, um, fight gone bad, but with modifications because we didn't have all the equipment. So instead of rowing, we didn't have a rower. Instead of rowing, I think we did burpees, which I know you're like, "Wait a second, that almost doesn't make sense." And it now you probably do something different, but at that time, full body movement. Yeah, we got legs and a pull on rowing, but legs and push. I don't know. It was with burpees and I didn't really have this like, "Oh my god, this is the worst and best thing that ever happened to me" moment because at that time I was playing international soccer. I ran a couple of marathons. I was pretty fit as at least my perception of fitness at the time. So it was more like it just felt like a kind of a boot camp thing because I was doing it in this facility that I worked out of. So it wasn't like a full CrossFit in the affiliate experience. But it was a CrossFit workout. It was with a CrossFit trainer. But it wasn't this thing I'm like, oh my God, I'm hooked. It was more like, all right, I could do that again. And then it just started to grow as we would kind of stomp around New York City and visit different affiliates and go to Connecticut. And that's when I really started to fall in love with the training methodology and the how to teach and see and correct. So it kind of was like a bit of a different entry point for me, I think. Maybe not. I don't know.
So, so you were living and working in New York City at the time, if I'm
Mhm.
following correctly, and then eventually started. I get so confused with New England, like just that area. Like it's just this one big spiral of the states. But you made your way, as you said, into Connecticut. What was the first, aside from like dropping classes here and there, what was the first affiliate that you kind of planted your feet in?
The first affiliate was actually in New Jersey, which was in 2009. And
Yeah.
this was before I was coaching, and it was called CrossFit Tribe. Shout out CrossFit Tribe, Steve Liberati. Steve Liberati was the founder of the paleo kits back in the day, like the beef jerky, and he would have the kids come in, the nonprofit, and they would be employees of his business, and they would make the kits. So Steve did that in that facility, and that's where I first found. Yeah, yeah, that might be my first one. Hold on, let me think. Actually, no, I'm lying. I think it might have been CrossFit Gotham in New York City, which was wherever we laid our head was home. We were in a church, we were in the bottom of a Globo gym, we were wherever we could not get chucked out of. And then I think my first like official affiliate where it was like an established business brick and mortar was CrossFit Tribe in Jersey. That's a good
Okay.
question. It's taking me back.
Yeah. Well, because and so had you known Dave Lipson before this, or did you get introduced to him because you mentioned his name briefly? Did you get introduced to him? Because I guess where I'm trying to lead you towards and tease out is that area for CrossFit having to be started all the way on the West Coast. The Northeast region was just a hotbed of people that we just either do or don't know in the CrossFit space because maybe they've even had their time in the sun, so to speak, and moved on to new things. Dave Lipson, now many would know him from Thunderbro and potentially wouldn't even know that he was on staff.
Mhm. Yeah. So my introduction to CrossFit was through Dave at this facility I
Yeah.
was working at, where he would come in and
Okay.
do different thing. So I was an employee of this facility, and he was what we call an independent contractor. So he would pay a fee, come in, bring his clients. The facility would get a fee. He would get a fee. But I was actually there running sports performance classes. So we had our ways of doing things. And he would come in and do different things that I'd never seen before, and he was, if Dave, he's huge now, but back then he wasn't as huge as he is now, but he was still huge relative to everybody else that was in that gym, and I'm such a strength and conditioning, like, training nerd that it piqued my interest. I was like, "What is he doing? Why is he doing that?" And I've told this story, before, but he had bandages on his hands coming back from the 2008 CrossFit Games in Aromas, and he was doing pull-ups, and I couldn't and he was flinging around like, what we know as the kipping pull-up, and like, "What is he doing?" I'm like, "Fine," my ego was like, "Fine, I'll go talk to him, see what's up." And I did, and then from then on, Dave was my mentor in this, as well as my best friend, like my favorite human. We were like joined at the hip. We did our level 1 together, our level 2 together. We did our Olympic lifting seminar together, and he was the reason I actually interned on staff. So he found CrossFit on his own somehow, somewhere, and my
Yeah.
link to it was through him.
And then how did you fall into, and that's obviously not the right word, but Reebok CrossFit One? When did
Well,
that start becoming?
no
Yeah.
surprise, it was Dave again. It was Dave again. So there
Okay.
was a time Dave actually left New York City for a while. He moved to California. He did some things in California. He moved back. He did his thing. And when he moved back, he got offered the head coach role at Reebok, the world headquarters, to
Yeah.
start this thing that we know as the Reebok CrossFit One. And it was the flagship. It was like a big deal at the time. And it was just him. And so he said to me, "Hey, I'm gonna take this job up in Massachusetts at Reebok. Will you come? Will you come up and work with me?" And at this time, I was kind of bouncing around the Philadelphia area, and I'd fallen into a good community across CrossFit Center City, some good people there, and I was going to try and get a visa and go work and coach there. And actually, what ended up happening was my visa got denied. Yay, America! My visa got denied. Um, but I was still going to try and push it and get it. And then Dave's like, "Why don't you just come on, take a look?" And I was the, "No, Reebok are gonna ruin CrossFit. That what Reebok are just old ladies and tennis, and we're CrossFit, and we're cool and underground, and yeah, like Fight Club." I was like, "All right, I'll go up, I'll check it out." And I went up and I talked to, um, the people at Reebok, specifically a guy called Mike Kratochwil, who was my boss almost the entire time I worked at Reebok. And he just presented it in a way that was I couldn't turn away from. It was like, "Hey, Reebok and CrossFit are partnering. It's gonna be a 10-year thing. We need people that are gonna help Reebok understand CrossFit. We wanna make clothes and shoes, and we wanna support the games, and we wanna do it right." And I was like, "Well, I would rather be involved in that than out of it, and if I can offer anything I know at that time," which honestly wasn't even that much. I mean, it was only like 2 years into CrossFit myself. It's like, I think I'd rather be part of this journey than outside of it, just kinda sucking my thumb and stamping my feet. So, I ended up saying yes and going, but not until I said this to Dave. I said, "Dave, do you want me to come up and work with you because you think I'm a good coach and and I'm the right person for the job, or you just want me to come up because 'cause I'm, like, your best friend?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, a little bit of both," and it was like, "All right, fair play." Anyway, I went, early, like, late 2010, early 2011. I joined almost concurrently with Austin Malleolo, and then for a little bit of time, it was just the 3 of us up in, Canton, Massachusetts.
And again, Austin, a magnet in and of itself in CrossFit, a personality, flow master at my level 1. Uh, got this far away from my face in the first day workout and nearly killed me, but that's an
Mm.
experience that sticks.
And here you are.
But and here we are. But what, like, for training, CrossFit training nerds, like, what started to happen was now you have 3 seeds that were planted. Were any 3 of you, I know you had said Dave had suggested you should intern for staff. Was Dave on staff yet at that point?
Dave was on staff at that point,
Okay.
and, Austin and I interned the same time. If you ever ask
Okay.
Austin, though, he'll tell you that he got the thumbs up on the 2nd internship, and it took me 4. So he's always, like, beat you to it. But actually the same seminar, I was on my 4th, he was on his 2nd. That's when we both got the thumbs up. But yeah, Dave was on staff at this point.
Right. Because when we then fast forward down the road, and I mean, I'm getting my information from the internets and the Instagrams, but at this point, or at some point, Dave leaves, but there's you, there's Austin. A gentleman named Spencer Hendel comes cruising around at some point. A gentleman named Connor Murphy comes cruising around at some point. a young whipped Joe Maisley finds his way in there, as well as James Hobart. And I'm listing all these people that um, ended up on staff, and that probably wasn't by accident, right? So
Yeah.
how did this place become this nucleus for let's just say excellence, really?
Yeah, well, I can't answer that without first giving kudos to all the staff that worked at Reebok. The names you're mentioning are ones from obviously working for CrossFit Seminar, but early in the day, the people that really pioneered the culture that we wanted included Lindsey Johnson, Caleb Debo, Kevin O'Connell, P. O'Donnell, Kevin O'Connell, P. O'Donnell, Kelly Smith, Kelly, not Kelly Smith, Kelly Jackson, Jen Smith, Rachel Martinez, Ali Bushy, now Leard, Jared Davis. And then we had all these interns, and we had Zathan Simpson, and I'm Ruben Coronado, GC, Giancarlo Graziani, Dylan Petit. And I'm sure I'm missing people, and I'm sorry if I am, but that they all helped create this hub of what we called excellence. And it all came from, honestly, to answer your question, it all came from just the virtuosity of training and wanting to master the fundamentals, because we all had to do that, myself, Austin, Dave, at that time, so we could be better on seminars. So we took the level 1 guide. We knew we were going to teach these 9 foundational movements every week. We utilized all the progressions to include the thruster and the muscle up and the snatch and the pull up, and we just ran them into the ground until we nailed it. We could see all kinds of subtle and gross errors across a room full of 10 to 40 people. Um, and this is why we always say the magic is in the movements, because we cared so much about the quality of these foundational movements, which are not, yes, they could also be called introductory because they are what people need to learn to get better at other things. But they're so much more than that. They're foundational. They don't go away. It's you're never done. So it was a priority for us that when coaches came in, if you want to work at a CrossFit gym, you need to master CrossFit's movements and progressions before you even have the audacity to try your own. I mean, if you're trying your own without mastering the fundamentals, you better be sharp. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but for us, we had the progressions in the main gym, we had the progressions on the wall back in the coach's office, we had all the taglines all around the gym. I mean, we're a CrossFit gym, so we're going to promote all things CrossFit.
Yeah. Well, and so what inspires me and really why I want to dig into the past is because you just had James Hobart on the CrossFit podcast, or at least it went live. I'm not sure when that conversation, but the whole conversation centered around there's no going back. And CrossFit has CrossFit lost its soul? As we debunked, no, there's no going back. But I see from up here in my little seat is maybe there are some things we do need to go back to, because these hubs of excellence in coaching seem to be a little bit few and far between. And I don't know if it's the market is saturated, or ironically there's less affiliates, but maybe it's more saturated with noise versus whatnot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's important to not be confused by what James and was saying and what I was agreeing with about not going there's no going back. Um,
Yeah.
Meaning it seems that everybody thought the solution to fix the problem that we were having in CrossFit was to go back to the way it was. Like that seemed to be the way. And what we're saying is that's not the way. What we're also not saying is that we shouldn't move on from the things we know that work, like the methodology. And you say we should go back. I would argue, Matt, that some people should establish it for the first time. Like, if you're thinking about operating a CrossFit gym, where are you taking that foundation from? Personally, and I'm biased, but I think it's the way is that you should take the level 1 guide and the level 2, and you can work on them concurrently, and that should be your platform. Um, and develop a really good understanding of it. Then when you feel like you're ready and you're ready to explore, then go ahead and do it. But I don't know. I mean, how important is the air squat to most affiliates? I'll tell you at Reebok CrossFit One, it was critical. Like we it was just unacceptable to not continue to work on your air squat. How was your overhead position? Like, it was critical that people understood how important that was, and it so I don't know how people's journeys start. I can't say that, I'm not in every affiliate, but I think that we bring all this along. What everything that has been spoken about that was, like, pressed upon us in the early days of the virtuosity and, um, knowing the points of performance and caring and everything that we know, let's bring that along, but it doesn't mean we have to go back to everything that was. That was great and it served a purpose, but going back is not the way that we move forward. But for not forgetting our heritage is important. So it's I think the games proved this year that we don't need to go back to everything the way it was. I think the games prove that our community is as strong as ever. Um, be it maybe a little smaller. People love the narrative of gyms are de-affiliating every day. I'm like, all right, well, good. Good.
Yeah.
If you don't want to if you're not proud to put CrossFit on your door and it's painful to the point of, like, you're not gonna sign up anymore to pay that, then don't. It's okay. It's like it's the same thing as the new campaign that's going out, which is it's new in ways, but it's not new. We've always been this way. We've just had our ways of promoting it, but it's okay if people don't wanna do CrossFit, but guess what? We're not gonna change who we are. CrossFit's freaking hard, and guess what? Affiliation is also hard, and doing it the way we know it to be done is simple, but it's not easy, and people love to take something simple and make it harder than it needs to be because it's just the discipline of doing the really common things is just maybe not, um, scratching their itch. But nothing needs to change with the methodology. And nothing needs to change with, um, the way that we've always done it. It's just it's the whole narrative of let's change it so we get more people. No, we would love more people, but we're not gonna sell our soul to get more people. It's about quality and not quantity, and hopefully over time, as Greg would say, the pie will get bigger. Make sense?
Yeah, and I feel like we could change potentially like the dosage. We don't need to go in with that huge hammer of intensity for someone's first day and then while they're in a puddle on the floor say, hey, yeah, this is CrossFit. You want this? We can kind of instead of kicking people off the deep end of diving board, like, hey, let me hold your hand and walk you into the shallow end. But then eventually know that, hey, we're gonna when you feel ready and when you show me what we need to see, we're gonna start swimming more in the deep end so that it's safe for you.
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't know about you, but that's definitely not the experience that I have or give. I've had or give. Um,
Sure.
and I think if you're doing it that way, then you're not understanding what we do. It's like you should leave just thinking, "Oh, that's it. That was CrossFit. Yeah, I could go back again." And again, mechanics and consistency, mechanics and consistency. Any idiot with a whistle can make someone hurt. It's really easy to like crush somebody. It's not easy to help educate through movement, through a connection to movement, um, and then do it every day. But I don't know if that's what's happening. I don't think that's what's happening, but that's not what we do. We don't smash people. They'll do that themselves over time.
For sure. Yeah, no, I guess exactly. Like I didn't mean that as someone having that be their onboarding or anything, but I think when I have one coach on my staff who is he loves spirited debates sometimes just for the sake of spirited debates, but thinks and we do muscle ups, we do cat programming and I don't change it one bit, but he sometimes thinks that we do like a lighter version of CrossFit because CrossFit used to make you harder to kill, or that was the messaging, right? As opposed to no, well, it'll make you harder to kill because you're going to live longer and happier and with increased performance along the way.
Yeah, I don't I sh I I think my question to your coach would be, what is wrong with the programming that's leading you to believe it used to be harder? And you know what, Matt? Maybe the programming is a little, quote, "easier" than it has been. I don't know, I don't follow cap all the time, um, but what I do know is that the intensity of the workout and the positioning at that intensity is what makes CrossFit just as hard as going heavy and doing it, more reps and more complexity. So we'd have to get him on here to have this discussion, but, CrossFit does make you harder to kill, but it's the intensity and the commitment to that intensity over the long term that makes you resilient, but without having him here, we can't really dive into his thoughts behind it.
No, and I mean, I think, and even, back to that idea of like the chatter or the narrative is, I think part of it is people taking, I always tell folks like, hey, CrossFit is a Bible. There's a Bible that exists. It's known as the Level 1 Guide. And what you would often get is people's interpretation of it, because being affiliates, we have our freedom to really like interpret that level 1 guide how we want. And that's sometimes where I think a lot of the back and forth happens about like CrossFit started this way, or it should do this, or it should do that. It's everyone running through the filter of their experience and their interpretation of it, which they're ultimately free to do. But sometimes you do have to just go back into the book itself to find the answers you're looking for.
Yeah, you nailed it. And it's funny because we all get on our high horse about what CrossFit should be and what it shouldn't be. And it's easy to point fingers at the affiliate down the road and like they're not doing CrossFit and they're saying you're not doing CrossFit. And we're like, just go back to the book. Like go back to the book and see what it is instead of trying to guess. And yes, you can have your own interpretation of it's your business, but there are some common trends or themes throughout all the affiliates. Things like constantly varied functional movement, high intensity, relative to your tolerances, physical, psychological. Like that should be there all the time. The 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 scaling should be there. You should be scaling so that you meet the expectation for that day. There should be coaching. There should be interactions multiple times with people. They should feel like almost like they're having a one-on-one in a group setting. We should prioritize mechanics and consistency. And then when we identify they're ready for it, we ramp up and dose up the intensity. We want to keep a safe and effective and an efficient space to work in. So that speaks to your group management and your layout of the barbells and where the boxes are. And you should care about people. You should be demoing. I mean, all these things are what you look at and you say, "Oh yeah, that's CrossFit." We come to the whiteboard. We connect together. We say, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to do something hard and you're going to do this and you're going to do that and it's going to be great because everyone's going to get that same punch." And then we come back and we talk about scores and we log. And for me personally, that's CrossFit. And are you doing CrossFit if you don't log your scores? Of course you are, but are you optimizing your CrossFit experience? I would argue no, because now there is no way of knowing, and there's really not as much accountability, and it's just that's part of our DNA. So I think, there's the arguments around this programming is bad, that program is bad, this has too much volume, that has too little. The only way of knowing is a couple of ways. One is, are people getting better, right? Are they getting fitter? Are they consistently able to show up without these, um, consistent,
Nagging.
injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah, and are they doing it in the long term? Like, if you show me an affiliate that you're like, "Their programming's dog poo," and I'm like, "Well, hold on a minute, they've got, like, 40% of their membership are 15 plus year members, and then they've got 20% who have been here for, like, 8 years, and they've got." I'm like, I think it's pretty effective to me. Is it optimal? Are the coaches doing exactly what they should be doing and it's a perfect class? Maybe not. But the retention and the health and the fitness of that gym really does speak volumes. And that's how we judge programming. It's based on the results and not always how it specifically looks. It just so happens that if you're not coaching and helping people, people don't end up staying in it long enough. So kind of sees itself out.
Mhm. So I want to jump back to your journey a little bit now. It seems like we'd switch gears entirely, but as we kind of dig into the basics of CrossFit and then get towards its journey down the road a little. When how long were you at Reebok CrossFit 1? And then where was your next move to?
I started at Reebok CrossFit 1 in late 2010, like December, and I left in 2021,
Okay.
in the probably, like, around March time, and I
Probably super easy for you to do, right? And it just
oh,
an
yeah.
easy it's super easy to just cut and head on your way.
Yeah, 11 years of my life, "See you later." No, it was really hard, but I'll tell you what made it easier, we were in the middle of COVID, and things were changing at Reebok, so we'd been out of the gym for a long time, we ran classes outside, and it's actually a funny story, well, I guess not funny, but interesting. They were Everyone except one coach left at the same time, but none of us knew that everybody was leaving. So I got an opportunity to go work at CrossFit New England. We can talk about that in a second. Austin got a full-time position with CrossFit HQ. Our other coach, Kevin, was gonna go into occupational therapy. I mean, everyone was kinda like, so I was really nervous to go tell Austin that I was leaving. So I'm like, "Austin, I gotta come talk to you." And he's like, "Alright, come over." We live really close to each other. I drive over. I'm walking in, he comes out the door and he meets me. I just burst into tears and I'm like, "I'm leaving Reebok." And I was so emotional. I mean, I loved that place. It's like part of my soul. It was I think in the office they had this quote saying, "I wish you could know you were in the good times while you were in it," or something. And like,
Yeah.
I wish I knew that. And he's like, "Well, I'm leaving too." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" So we kind of talked about that and I was like, "Well, now I feel better because, you don't want to leave your team." Um so that was interesting, and Connor Murphy actually stayed. He stayed for a while and helped out. But, I really love that place, but I was ready to just put myself in a new situation and be challenged and quite honestly just, see it from a different perspective, and I had that opportunity through CrossFit New England, where I stayed from, I wanna say April of 21 to December of 21, so it was short-lived. Learned a lot about what goes on in, like, I say, quote, "real affiliate" because we were more of a corporate affiliate, and learned a lot of things about the business, about teams, part-time coaches, full-time coaches, working concurrent businesses with CompTrain, and CrossFit New England. My role there at the time was I was the head coach of CrossFit New England, and I was running the CompTrain gym side of things, so the platform for the gyms worldwide, lesson planning and things like that. And then I got offered a full-time role with CrossFit HQ. So I departed from New England in my roles. I still coached there a little bit, but then eventually it just got a lot with my job at CrossFit. So I ended up sadly leaving there, and the members there were so great. I miss them to this day, a good bunch. And I started to do a little bit of coaching at my friend Joe Maisley's gym at the time, CrossFit Marshfield. So I go up there a
Yeah.
couple of times a week, just trying to coach because I loved coaching. And then eventually I landed at CrossFit One Nation, which was the gym that Austin first started back in 2014. So it was like a full circle. But that's where I kind of at now. Been there since I'm in now my third year with them. I'm part time. I'm one of those annoying part time coaches that complains about everything. But the guy that owns the gym is fantastic. So he puts up with me.
You had mentioned when you shifted from Reebok being a corporate gym, like, so as you said, it was like you ran classes, you ran an effective CrossFit class, but maybe the people coming and going look a little bit differently because they're running down from a meeting or coming in before or after their workday. What was, if you can recall, what was a pleasant surprise for you in jumping into CrossFit New England and running like a Monday to Friday real affiliate with air quotes for those listening versus watching from there? What was a pleasant surprise for you?
Pleasant surprise. Um, well, I mean, I've gotta talk about Reebok a little bit. At Reebok, yes, we were a corporate gym, so we lacked the weekend presence that most affiliates, they live for the weekend, right? The classes are booming. We didn't have classes on the weekend. We did start a little bit having like a Saturday morning class, but we were not we didn't really have that much community outside of our Monday through Friday, but Monday through Friday, it was hot to the point where the managers were almost told that they had to allow their employees to go work out, like, they were given that time, and it was where everybody came to de-stress, everybody connected. We would say, "Leave your ego and your business card at the door, so when you come in, you might be the CEO in the main building, but in here, you're just a CrossFit athlete. You might be an intern, but in here, you're a CrossFit athlete," and it was really cool to see how these different hierarchies would bond in this corporate setting. Now, I think what we got a little bit less of because of that was the, acting the fool, the difficult member, because who wants to be that member when you gotta go talk about shoes up in the other building? So, we never really got that. I also think that we would never have allowed it. We just shut that stuff down immediately. It wasn't the kind of culture we had. When I moved to, air quote, "a real affiliate," uh, I think I was just pleasantly surprised, it's a good question, that it was the same. It was the same in terms of people were coming, they were connecting, they were working out hard, they showed up every day, um, and it didn't matter if you were at your place of work or not, it was like CrossFit's the same. It just kinda the building's a little different, and the people are not wearing all Reeboks, which was weird. That was what was weird for me. So I don't that wasn't a pleasant surprise, that was like a, "Whoa, you all can just wear your own shoes." Because at Reebok, you could sniff. You didn't even need to you could sniff when somebody had a pair of, like, Adidas on or Nikes or something, and what we had actually, Matt, is we had a shoe, hut. So if you came
Okay.
in as like a drop-in or something and you did not have Reebok on, you took your shoes off like a bowling alley, you took your shoes off, you put them in the cubby hole, and you took the Reeboks out, and you had to wear the Reeboks. I mean, we were very proud. We were very proud of Reebok, but I think that was it. I think it was like, wow, it's still CrossFit. It's just, you know, yeah.
For what it's worth, though, the Nano 2 to the Nano 7 to 8, I mean, those were just chef's kiss, great shoes.
It was the evens. It was the even numbers were the best. Like, the 8s were my favorite. The 2s were my favorite, but they got a little flimsy. The 8s were, like, indestructible for me.
I think in the later years, yes. The 5s, I still like the 5s. They really stood out to
Ooh,
me. The 4s, I like the
you're
5s over the 4s.
I didn't like the stiff ones with the stiff ones I'm not into. I have the X1s right now that they're all ripped up in the back of the heel. I'll never let them die. Like, I wear them more than I should.
We still get I'm fortunate enough, I'm the 3rd owner of my affiliate, and, that's affiliated in 2007, so it's been around for a long time, and so we have some folks coming back into the fray lately, which is really great, and they're like oh, I always love their first day when they still have their Nano 4s still in, like, great shape because when they took a break from CrossFit, they put them up in some shelf in the closet, and they're still there, but I'm like, "I can tell you done CrossFit." What's that, 2014? Great, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's the shoes, I'm always looking at the shoes all the time. I look, see if it's like a Noble or a Reebok or a Rad or something, you know, spot
Yeah.
a CrossFit off.
So so you and I think coming from a Reebok gym, and I use corporate because the word that caught me that I'm really focused a lot on personally is culture, and culture versus community. Culture in a corporation is a lot more known. It's something that they work towards, and I think in affiliates, they talk about their community when really either they are meaning or potentially could look to improve or focus on their culture. So, what have you noticed now as you jumped from kind of these different gyms in the past 5 years from a culture perspective? And I don't mean like what's good, what's bad,
Mm.
but what is a common thread potentially that you can see?
Yeah, I like that you make that distinction between culture and community because they are. one feeds the other, right? So you have to know what kind of culture you want to have the right community. And
Mhm.
I think what I've seen as a common thread, and not just in CrossFit, but in industry in general, any industry, it's just who are your leaders? Like any gym or organization that has good leaders and present leaders, like meaning physically they are there, they have good cultures and they don't let things slip through through the fingers. I think if you're not a good leader, and you're absent, or you're a good lead, or you're a good leader, but you're absent is just as bad as being a bad leader and absent on it and being there. It's like you have to have both. The culture always tends to be okay. Like it's a good culture. Now, obviously, that leader's values matter. Like, why are you opening a gym? So, to to make a long answer short, the leader, everything comes from the leader. It's a downward stream. So what they care about, the coaches will care about. We talk about this at the affiliate summit. What the coaches care about, the members will care about. And if the leader
Hmm.
isn't really instilling those values and they don't have any direction, or maybe their values are let's make as much money as we can. I can't say for sure, but I've never really seen the culture I want to be part of with that mindset. So I think, yeah, to answer your question, it's like, what does the leadership look like? You know, what do they care about? And that'll just be seen in the members. It's not the members' faults. It's like there's always this pointing the finger at members being this and that and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, whose fault is that? It's yeah, they might be that kind of person generally, but you're the one putting up with it. And then if the leader is like, ah, just let it go, it's fine. That I would have a problem with that as a coach. I'd be like, no, it's not fine. It just takes one person to change the culture of a gym.
Well, because it becomes confusing for coaches, and it also becomes confusing for members. And
Yeah.
that's why standards matter so much, not just in movement, but in operations and how we run classes and how we show up, both physically and mentally, and how we look and all those things.
Yeah, and
And
I
I mean
mean,
your
lost leadership.
dress, your attire.
Everything lost leadership creates some things, and one thing it creates is subcultures and other leaders in the gym, like your coaches, taking ownership of what they think the gym should be. And then that message is confusing to the members because they're like, "Well, we're not gonna get any direction up here, so we're gonna take this thing and run with it, but we're not gonna spread it across the whole group of coaches. We're just gonna do that in our 8 o'clock class." And then the 6 p.m. class, they're gonna do their thing, and before you know it, you have these silos, sorry, because of lost leadership, and they wanna be led. So I think you nailed it there with it is confusing, and consistency across classes is paramount. Not you must sound like me, Matt, and I must sound like you, and we should never change. But the consistency of how a class is run, the expectations, holding standards. There's nothing worse than you coaching a class, maybe coaching somebody else's class, and they're never held to a standard, and then you try to do it, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like that. That's hard, and that's not the coach's fault. It's not the coach's fault to undo all this. It's the leader. Like, what does the leader stand for? So I would say to anybody that's looking to be a coach, um, if you have the if you have the luxury of it, like you should investigate what they stand for because if you're not aligned, you're not going to have a great time.
It's so interesting. Like I again have these little hypotheses that potentially affiliate owners, and as one, I can say these think, well, the CrossFit business is slightly different because affiliate owners, and it is maybe an application of how you do your Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But I've been recently rereading The E Myth by Michael Bloomberg,
Mm,
classic
good
business
book.
book. But I just dog-eared page 105 where he talks about that, basically, to paraphrase for our conversation, inconsistency in experience can kill a business. And I was just like mind blown because he talks about it in a barber shop, but I think like what's more plagued, not by any fault of anyone's own, but as you said, like if you have 10 coaches on staff, you want to give them the freedom to express their individuality. but we have to hold standards of the organization or the mechanism that is the business, and the business runs a CrossFit class.
Mhm. Yeah, the consistent standards are huge on the floor, off the floor, and that's what Daniel Chafee does so well, with the Louvre and all his businesses. I mean, he has thousands of members, it's bonkers, but all their staff, all their admin staff who are also coaches, they all follow a manual. So that when somebody comes in who's new, they have like a script, and it's the same across all I mean, the systems are unreal, and it's why it works because they're all bought in to this excellence. And the team is the business. Like, you have to take care of your team, and how do you do that? You have systems, you have standards, you're very clear in your instructions, and if you can do that, then there's really there's no questions. It's like we know everybody's kind of I know it exactly how Matt is gonna open the gym on Wednesday morning. I know exactly because he's gonna do it the same way I'm gonna do it on Thursday, and I know what Matt's gonna do when he closes the gym on Thursday, and I don't have to show up Friday morning wondering if the whiteboard's gonna be erased, or if the floors are clean off, the rings are put back, or if the boxes are all gonna be all over. I'm like, "No, Matt's gonna he's gonna take care of business." So when I come in, everything's ready for me to do what I need to do that day. So that's a coaching example, but it's the same for onboarding, like retention, memberships, like it's all there. The consistency is huge.
Well, and back to the members, I don't know that enough coaches and owners really understand how much members crave that. They probably won't express it, or they might express something else when really this is what they're actually after. Because when we started this off by talking about culture versus community, a head coach or an affiliate owner might say, well, I need to bring my community together. So let's do a community event. Let's do a barbecue. Let's do a bowling night. And it's not that those things aren't important, but what potentially is missing is a culture that weaves everyone together in the thing that they pay to do, which is be a member in a class.
Yeah. So I would ask you, because this is a good point. We're all about how to in CrossFit. How do you create culture? What does it look like pragmatically?
I for like at me at my affiliate, like I took over in September of 2019, and I just tried to do first not do anything that I wouldn't ask my coaches to do. So if I'm gonna lesson plan, if I was the first one to lesson plan, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna have it out. It's gonna be visible, it's gonna be there. If I'm asking them to run progressions and try and call reps and be clunky at it and awkward at it, but try to get better at it, well then I have to do that. But then from a culture perspective, also try to establish ourselves as the authority, as the person who knows best. And that doesn't mean expressing through knowledge. One of the simplest but not easiest ways we establish authority in a very polite way is we have a pull up, kind of the triangle shaped pull up bars that hang on the wall, but you can still do stuff underneath them.
Mhm.
We have one of those that runs across the length of the one gym, and then we have a rig style rogue rack where there's various heights. So we'll go in our group management and say, if you're doing jumping pull-ups, you're over on this rig. If you are doing banded pull-ups, you're on this rig. And if you're able to do pull-ups, you have this whole space to do. We don't have the member who just comes in and puts their water bottle down under the pull-up bar because that's the one they like to go to. They don't know if that's the one they're going to be using yet.
Yeah, that's
Does that
great. Yeah, you're setting the rules. It's We had Fran on Wednesday, Matt. We had 27 people, just one
okay?
coach. It was just me, 27 people. And we have enough pull-up bars, but not enough space. So, like, there is technically more pull-up bars than 27, but you've got the ones that are this way, and you've got the ones that are this way, and these
Yeah, so
people
they
are hitting
can't.
these people. Yeah, so it's a little congested. And it's a simple fix. It's a, "All right, we'll do a 1-minute delay." Like, we'll give a little bit of buffer, But here's the deal, if your pull-up bar
Yeah.
is not available, just wait, right? And some people now listening to this are gonna lose their minds. You're like, "What do you mean? It's Fran, we're trying to PR, like, every second counts, I get it."
Yeah.
Okay, no problem, and I said this, I said, "Okay, but here's the deal. If you are really going for gold today, and you have a goal in mind, and every second does count, we're gonna make sure that happens for you. Because it won't be everybody, but it might be some people. Most people don't care, but some people do, and we can make that happen, and it's just here are the rules, like, we share, we don't cry about it, and everything's gonna be fine. But if we set this culture of this is the thing and every second counts and you all need to push and you need to then that's how they're gonna feel. And that's when you're saying I think when you're saying establish authority, what I mean, maybe in a more, um,
Nicer,
yeah, I
softer
guess
way.
nicer in a softer way because you establish authority. What you're just basically saying, "Hey, we have rules." And the rules are you
Yeah.
put your equipment away, you wipe your stuff down, you leave something the same as or better than you found it, but never worse. If somebody's in the gym and you don't know them, say hi. There should never be somebody in the gym that you don't know, that they leave and you still don't know their name. The coaches should be doing that. If the trash can's full, let us know. We'll it's you lead by example and you have these rules. And if that's not there, if there's like, "Oh, no one cleans the equipment, it's okay." Or no one puts their ball back. Yeah. It's like, well, that's your community's not definitely gonna suck, but it's definitely not gonna be the community the ethos that we want from a CrossFit gym. That all comes from the leader. What rules does the leader have? And are they willing to be disciplined enough to stand by them and not have like double standards? It's one for one and one for the other. No, these are the rules.
Well, and exactly like that word authority is very harsh in a way. It's got rigid corners, but I think what how we're able to do it is we steal Pat Sherwood's. I think he's the one who at least he says the most fitness was achieved because what I've been able to do over time through consistent practice is establish that we do CrossFit to improve our fitness. We don't do CrossFit for the sake of doing CrossFit. So what that means, if Denise, you have to start at the middle of the WOD and I start at the top and we circle through, you're okay with that because you know at the end of the 12 minutes, you will have fitness achieved. You didn't need to execute that thing that's on the board perfectly. And I wonder if maybe folks get too caught up in we talk about start this whole thing off by like, hey, these are the progressions. Let's try to run them exactly as they are so we can get better at them. But understanding there's some flexibility in the application of the program itself, if you get what I mean.
I do, and I couldn't agree more, and this happened this week too. It was yesterday. We had, we've got 7 GHDs in the gym, which is probably 7 times
Okay.
more than most, right? We love the GHD. And, it was 3 rounds of row 500 meters, run 400 meters, 30 GHD sit-ups. 3 rounds, I said.
Okay.
And we needed to share GHDs. So the question was, okay, well, who wants to start on the row and who wants to start on the run? And so I was partnering up with Carla and or Jared, and he's like, "Where do you want to start?" I'm like, "You choose." And here's this, and here's the deal with this. I'm a coach there. If I'm picking it over the member, that's not okay. I'm gonna do the
Right.
thing they don't wanna do. Did I wanna do it out of order? No, I'll tell you why. Because the right order, the on the board, you finished with your GHDs. The order I did it in, guess what I finished on? The freaking row. And
Run.
nobody wants to finish a
Oh yeah.
workout on a rowing machine. But I was like, "Jared, you pick." And, um, and he picked the order that was on the board, and I'm like, "It's fine, I'll start on the run, I'll finish on the row." And, but that's the culture in our gym for the most part. Like, not everybody feels that way, but it's gotta come from the coaches. We're doing Fran. If there's a slippy bar and a bar that's, you can cheese grate your arms on, but you want to 'cause you wanna stay on that, I'm gonna pick whichever one they don't want. Do I want that inside of my heart? No. But the more emphasis that we place on it being as it is and we put ourselves first, guess who that's going to trickle down onto? It's the members, because that's who they're looking for as the authority. So again, it's like, who's your leader? What team are you creating as that leader? And what message is that team giving to the members? And if you've got the right thing coming down, you'll have a good culture and therefore a really great community that will last forever.
Well, and and so you mentioned The Office. Um, he puts the Wayne Gretzky coach or Wayne Gretzky quotes by Michael Scott. It made me think of Jocelyn, your comrade at the coaches summit, said a quote from Nicole Christensen is that the worst thing that can happen to CrossFit is that it becomes a hard workout done with cool people.
It's not a
And
bad thing.
right. and but and that's what I think where it potentially can get lost is we get so caught up in doing a CrossFit workout Monday to Friday, but no, we're trying to just improve our health, our performance. We're trying to see, is this thing working through the data? If my whole thing is, if I start backtracking, it's probably my nutrition. I could probably eat a little bit more nuts and seeds and a little less sugar. But the answer is there in the basics of just like go back to the beginning and start over, especially if someone's either struggling or if they want to look to improve.
Yeah, but it's got to come from the top. It's got to be the constant little breadcrumbs of who we are as as a a fitness brand. Like, if we're not doing it in the driving seat, we're not saying, "Hey guys, let's talk about the pyramid for a second." This kills me too. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to do. They don't want to this. I'm like, who says? Who says they don't want to? Have you ever tried? Oh, it's the 5 a.m. They don't wanna, they just wanna get into it. I'm like, I disagree, fundamentally disagree. I've coached many early classes, I've coached evening classes. They love what you are passionate about, and it's that simple. And we need to be educating. As a CrossFit trainer, it's not just about giving them a workout, it's about it helping them understand who we are as a brand, as a methodology, sorry. And,
Yeah.
you said, um, that you come in and I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Hard workout, good people. Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
the worst.
yeah, I
Do you
was
need
gonna
me to repeat
say
it?
no, it's funny you say it because we can get really wrapped up in the numbers and the leadership, the leaderboard and all these things, and I think that's a cool thing too, that we have that and we wanna be
Yeah.
at the top of the leaderboard. We wanna be climbing up. It's fun, but it can also be a huge deterrent for not going at all. You see a workout that scares you and you don't wanna do it. You're like, "I don't think I'm gonna go today," or the workout doesn't look that, compelling. You're like, "Why would I go to just do this?" But if you show up and you just do what you can, you did that good thing for the day. Like yesterday, I honestly didn't wanna go to the workout yesterday, Matt. I was like rowing and running and GHDs, like, just do that at home. No, I'm like, "No, but I wanna go and be with my people. I wanna go and connect." And I told Ashley, my wife, I'm like, "Ash, I went to the gym yesterday just 'cause I felt lonely and I wanted to hang out, and then I actually love the workout." So it's don't worry what the workout is. Don't worry. The coach has got you. Just show up, do what you can that day, and that consistency is what's gonna get you there. And as Pat says, fitness will happen, and you'll be better off for it.
Yeah. You might be a fan of this, nerd out over this, but we've been a cap gym since it was Ham Plan. So
Oh, you're
we're old
you're
school.
rooted. You're deeply
That's
rooted.
right. That's right. But one of the things CAP has done recently has they released the benchmark schedule for the year. And so they kind of said, "Hey, here's our benchmark focus, and we're testing them from between January and March, and then we will start up again in August to November." So I took that list and I released it to the group. I said, "Hey, everyone, this is going to be our hot girl summer. Everyone's going to pick a benchmark, and that you have a score from, and then you're just going to give a focus or a commitment to that one for when we retest it. Here's the list of the 7 that we have tested and we'll retest. And so we got a good buy-in of about probably 50 people chimed in. Everyone chose Kelly because that was the one that was the day
Ew.
before. Well, I don't think everyone really realized it, but it was like it
Yeah.
was the day after Kelly. I said, hey, we're doing Hot Girl Summer. I, Matt, am choosing Kelly. And then I think everyone else was like, yeah, I'll do it too. I'll do it too.
That
But
I would
now
not
we've
choose
started,
Kelly.
well, I'm trying to work on my weakness, and that was, those things put together. But the point being is now we have the benchmark starting to trickle out. Fight Gone Bad this Saturday was one of them. Andy was one of them for next week. And then now we're able to say, like, hey, you may not have chose Andy for your benchmark, but you probably have a score from it. And then, hey, maybe you might do better. You might do better purely out of rage. But now you've shown between then and now, you've improved, regardless of what's happened in the summer. What you can bookend it with improvements. And that's all the stuff that's just been given to us by the programming.
Yeah, and I think it's important too that you might not get a better score. Right? You might not improve in that one workout or 3 workouts, but what does your overall trend look like? And
Yeah.
it's so easy to like beat yourself up when you don't PR, but as we know, the faster you get, the harder it gets. Seconds feel like minutes when you're newer, and but you've got to step back and be like, well, one, I showed up and I did it. Just even doing a benchmark and retesting it is a feat of bravery because those things make you shiver. But two is that okay, well, this is a good thing. Whether or not you PR or not, it's a good thing because you can step back, look at all these benchmarks, and there will be a common denominator by way of like movement or rep scheme or loading that is your nemesis. So for me, one year we did a bunch of girl workouts um, for our annual madness challenge we did with some of the staff, and I recognized that every time pull-ups came along, my time got slower. Like I just pull-ups was the thing. So I worked on my pull-ups a little bit. And I would never have known that had I not done these benchmarks because if you're not logging your scores all the time, which is fine, kinda, you better be logging them when you do your benchmarks because that's when you can really test your progress. Good, bad, or ugly, it's good to track.
Yeah, because I mean, exactly. It's the average power output over time. That's
It's
not
everything.
just the one. Yeah.
Everything.
And
It's,
I'll,
oh man, my friend was 30 seconds less. Oh, but wait a second, on all these other things, they're trending up. So it's everything, and it's the same. Your fitness is not defined by one workout. You can't
yeah,
get wrapped around just what that one workout that day. And that's part of the coach to educate their members on that and that. Or else members will take the wheel and they'll just start to create their own path and their own mentalities around it. And again, that directly impacts culture.
for sure. So I don't know that we fully went to where I wanted to go in this conversation, but I think we went into better places because we got onto some good tangents. But
Oh,
being
where do you want to
mindful,
go? Where did you want to go?
no, well, I mean, I think we got there in the sense of like really the undertone or underpinning to be like we, and I say we, like we could say the community, the CrossFit community is we can impart the change, or we have the control, more control than we think because of what's in our 4 walls. And we think about this, so yeah, this new, as we record this will come out at the beginning of September, but as we record this, it was quite literally this week, the quick fix, the new, more hardcore message is coming out, and everyone's really fired up. But you can't just reshare an Instagram video and expect to seek the change. Is the culture really should start within like our affiliates, and what are we doing as leaders inside for our community.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, HQ has a responsibility to kind of set that fire alight, and they've done it again. It's taken a while. I say they, me, us, we. Um, but I think it's important to note too that it takes a long time to turn the Titanic. It's like
Right.
you something happens and you realize that we're off course, and it takes a lot of manpower, a lot of work to turn that ship, and that's been in the works for a while now. And what we're all seeing now on the through the games, and then with the um CrossFit is the cure, we're seeing that come alive. There's a lot of people that work really hard on getting that message out, and putting voicing their opinions and doing the right things and saying the right things and believing in CrossFit that have got us to where we are now. And it doesn't always look like that outwardly. Looks like, you know, there's a little bit lost of the way, and there was for a while. Like, let's be real, we've been through a lot. There's been a lot gone on, but it seems now that now HQ is they're stamping down back on our core messaging, which has always been the way for us in here. And now the affiliates feel supported in going out and living this in this message. But it's back to James's podcast that inspired maybe this conversation of we can't go back. We don't need to go back. We just the community needs to realize that they are CrossFit. They are
Right.
CrossFit. It's not this little building on the top of a mountain that is known as HQ. It's like that that needs to do a lot of work, and there's work to be done for sure, but none of this up here happens without the community. So where every time you bring someone into your gym, now you're passing on that message of now you're CrossFit. And look to your left, they're CrossFit and they're CrossFit. But we have a job as the leaders, HQ, affiliate owners, coaches, to continue to um, not lose sight of who we are and what we do. And we do hard things. And we do have the cure for the world's most vexing problem. And whoever created it, love, homage, like, cannot thank Greg enough for what he did. I mean, we would not be here without him. But if we only ever focus on one person, then this all falls apart.
Right.
The person brought it, and now it's out, and now we get to we get to pass it along. We get to push it forward. So we can't keep this word goes around a lot. We can't keep romanticizing the past, because what we will do, 100%, we will isolate anybody that comes into our community right now. It's not cool to always talk about the past unless it's helping those that are in it right now understand it's part of who we are and what we do, and they can take that forward. And I think James was kind of alluding to that a lot on the podcast, is that let's bring the good stuff. Let's leave some of the things that didn't work for us, and let's move forward with who we have now and who wants to really um, love on this thing that we call CrossFit.
I did get to see Austin at the conference and got to actually work out with him a couple times. And I will say that he was very agitated with having to warm up burpees. So it's good.
Austin
But
hates warming up. Quick story, Matt. So Austin
sure,
was an right individual for many years, very successful.
the White Knight.
The White Knight finished, I want to say fourth was his best positioning, and then he decided to go team. And it's really hard sometimes. I can't speak for all athletes, but I'll just speak for Austin. It was very hard for him to go from being the only one that mattered to actually to caring about three other individuals. And he asked myself and another coach, Kevin, at the gym to help coach the team a little bit. I mean, there was all these really fit individual athletes coming together for the first time for Reebok CrossFit One. They finished fifth that year. They did really good. But we would do training sessions, and I would always say, "All right, go on a 400-meter run." For no other reason other than when you go, get out all your stuff, jog it. When you come back in, it's business. Like, it was more of a just go out and clear your head, come back in. Austin,
Yeah,
"Yeah, why are we doing these 400-meter runs? I don't it's stupid. Why don't we just get to it?" Blah, 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 blah. We were doing a worm workout once, and one of our members, Ali, who is one of my favorite people on the planet, super fit, but was probably at that point the least fit of the four, the super fit team. And I'd say least fit. What I mean is, in this specific movement, she was slower than the others. She got a back squat like a freaking
Relative, yeah.
animal. Yeah. So we're doing burpees over the worm, and Austin wanted to go Austin's speed, which is fast. And poor Ali
Oh,
would
yeah.
be like, she would barely even be on the ground, and he'd be up, and she just couldn't keep up. It was like he was going so fast, and there was a big lesson that was learned in that session because I think he realized was that, like, look, if we're gonna do well, we can only go as fast as our slowest person, because if we push our slower person to their limits, it's gonna be even slower. So it was funny, it was cool to see his progression through working for going from individual to team, and you don't wanna take out that fight in them as an individual because you need that, but, um to your point of him just, like, not wanting to do things, he hates warming up. Like, he's just, "Let's just go." So I can imagine if you were warming up a burpee, he was, like, seething, it's like,
It was a beautifully run progression by Mr. Alex Growers, and,
I'm sure it was. I'm
but
sure it was
yeah,
great, and everyone loved it, and
but
Alex is wonderful.
I left the conference, I got to pass Austin in the hall on the way out, and I just shook his hand, I said, "Thank you." Like, at the coaches and affiliate owner conference, it was clear that everyone involved was trying really hard. And I don't mean like at the event, but like in just what that thing was. And what really kind of like caught my eye for that was the lunch that was served both days. There was lunch served both days. It was at a hotel slash conference center. You could have just as easily got a bag lunch with a sandwich, a bag of chips, and a cookie. And then what everyone would have done would take into the socials. They would have been calling the Savon podcast. You should see what they're serving up. And it was a very well established, I don't want to say like blocked out, but there was more protein than what you would get in a chicken or a steak salad, which is what they both were, with grilled veggies, all those things. Peanuts were the snack instead of a cookie or chips. And I'm like, someone is trying. And so I just, I wanted to say like thank you for that effort to them and the team. And he said, and I was like, and kind of screw everyone who didn't want to come. And he said it's the second wave of the early adopters,
Mhm.
or the early adopters getting reignited back in. And that kind of, I can't be classified as an early adopter, but I think that then comes with us is, okay, we, for those of us committed to it, it's like, what can we do in our four walls to help push this thing along? And as you said at the beginning, you can't be the kid who doesn't want to support Reebok and suck their thumb. It's like that little change in thinking of saying, maybe I'll just be a part of this thing and see what happens. Look where it got you. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity for everyone to just say, I'm going to be a part of this thing and let me see what happens on the other side.
It's funny you say that, Matt. I just got off podcast with Rory McKernan and Angelo De Chico, and I asked Rory what advice he had for people that wanted to get into maybe the stuff that he's doing, like the media and the business development. But his answer actually was fitting for anybody that wants to get involved in anything, and it was super simple. He said something like, "Just show up and see where you can add value. Like, just be helpful." And he said that is where he always got his opportunities. Someone just asked him to do something, and he did it. And then he got asked to do something else, and he did it because all he really wanted to do was help. And it's not the sexy way, and it's not the fast track way, um, but wow, you learn a lot about yourself in that time, and you build a lot of trust and connection and rapport with people, and, uh, and you just nailed it. It's like, how can the community help to elevate CrossFit to more people? It's like, just keep doing what you're doing, and every time you do it, ask yourself, "Is this for the greater good? Is this gonna add value, or is it gonna detract value?" And that's not the same as saying don't criticize. We love constructive criticism, but if you're just speaking to detract, you're saying something, but you're not really providing a solution. It's just not helpful. Like, it's just not helpful. So, yeah, I think that's great. It's like the affiliates got to where they were in the early days by just being like, "I love this thing and I want to help, and where can I do it?" Um, I just don't think you can go wrong with that. I I don't see how that's ever been unsuccessful for people. You might not be driving around in a Maserati, but tell you what, you'll have a lot of people at your funeral who are saying some really nice things about you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny enough, and it's very coincidental that you say Rory and Angelo, because I've really stepped back, and I've been a Rich Froning fan for years, but like Rich Froning is a prime example of someone who could have taken his platform and turned his back and said, "This is a better way." But he turned in, and I don't know if this is his exact words, but let's just paraphrase. He probably said, "Hey, how can I help?" And
Yeah.
leaned full in. They leaned full in on the open. That the first announcement done at an affiliate like that, hosting a semifinal in the affiliate, like such cool things. And I think sometimes people might be able to sit back and point their finger and say, well, it's easy for them because they're Mayhem or they're Rich Froning or things like that. It's like, well, you could take that same enthusiasm for the open in your community. You could take that same enthusiasm for the new community cup and just see what happens.
And here's the thing about Rich and the folks at Mayhem too. They don't need CrossFit. Like, they are their own entity now. They could go off and do their own thing and be wildly successful. Rich has, like, 1,000,000 businesses, like, he's good, but he does it because he believes in it. Like, that's the only way I I mean, why else would you want to continue to partner with CrossFit? He gets it. I mean, does he poke at it at times? Yeah. Should he? Yeah. Should everybody? Yeah. But the big thing is he doesn't need CrossFit. He does it because he thinks probably because it's the right thing. You'd have to ask him. And I think that a lot of people, um, they just get mad. They get mad, and then the community suffers as a result of it. It's like, come on, you don't have to get mad. Just let's talk about it. But yeah, they don't. I can't emphasize it enough. They are doing fine without CrossFit, but they still want to be collaborating and partnering and helping CrossFit.
So, with all this being said, what excites Denise for the next 6 months between now and the open? What excites you for, just could be personally, it could be for your professional role, or it could be any of these things, or all tied in together into one neat little package.
Um, I'm just really excited. I mean, coming off the games and seeing how well it went, and by how well, I don't just mean execution from all the teams, but just the joy in people being there, and it felt so good, Matt. It was so wholesome, and I think I'm excited for us to take that momentum and build on it, and build on it in a way that is true to us and what we believe. And we're going to do that in all kinds of different ways, obviously through our media team who are killing it right now. I mean, the Road to the Games videos were unbelievable. All the commercials they were doing, unbelievable. That it just
They're really good.
feels good. And we've got a lot of things coming down the pipeline. Such as there's the affiliate con that Best Hour are doing, and HQ are going to be going there and doing some drills. We might have the podcast there. I'm sure they're going to do some affiliate stuff in the upcoming year. Um, I don't know, doing more podcasts, getting people talking about. I just excited to see what happens, and I have no expectations other than let's just keep adding value and doing it for the right reasons. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice place to be right now, but it's also we can't sit back. We can't just lay back in our chairs and be like, "Yeah, we did a good job." But now we got to keep connecting and keep talking to people and putting out the right things and working really hard, and we're here for it. So I guess I'm just excited about that. I'm really excited to go on vacation next week with my
There you
family and
go.
my dog. Yeah, that's cool. And the Open. I love the Open. I love the Community Cup, the Service Cup, the Everyday Heroes thing just got posted today, and I just wanna do it all. It's just so I don't know. I'm just happy. I'm happy, Matt. What about you? What are you excited about?
I'm excited to just see it all unfold. And I think, like, honestly, for me, I'm excited to hopefully see that, like, we've been on the right path. And I say like we, and how I'm trying to lead the affiliate, and just say like, hey, there's this new messaging. It doesn't really change what we do in here. It might inspire us. It might give us some messaging. I've put a lot of emphasis on, reading all these business books to reignite my my team with a new renewed focus. And even we think about like your business and what is your why or your mission. And I think sometimes we think it has to be this like altruistic and like spiritual awakening that happened with CrossFit. And I've just had this epiphany of like, I think my why in 13 years is that CrossFit has never not worked. I said it's like the 60% of the time it works every time. And that's meaning it's not for everyone, but it's for anyone. But for those who find it, and I'm on this mission now, I think a lot about like to get to 250 lifers, not members, but lifers. Because we have a couple who are on their 15th and 16th year. And then you just know it's like, okay, this person won't stick, and that's okay. They're on their journey. But this person is a lifer now. Like we've got them. And that doesn't mean sit back, to your point about HQ, like, but more on the macro micro. Like we still have to continue to provide value to them for their commitment to us being lifers. But maybe if they can tell 3 friends, one of those persons will then be a lifer. And we just keep rinsing and repeating until we have this foundation of it. And because it's never not worked for anyone that I've seen apply it the way it's written.
It's magical. It's just so magical, and what an opportunity you have
Really
as a
is.
coach. I I love coaching. I love it. I actually just took off about 6 months from coaching. Didn't coach a single class in 6 months.
I'd heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, it was really good and really needed, and actually, I missed it a lot, but needed to step away, um, because I wasn't completely convinced that I was doing it the way I wanted to do it, or it's just the way I knew it to be done, and, I learned a lot. I learned a lot as a member, as just being a paying member, showing up, and, you know, keep just looking around and seeing and hearing the conversations, and seeing what they enjoyed and what they didn't like, and what I liked and what I didn't like, and what was I doing that thing, or was I not doing that thing, and did I take care of people? It's just really cool, and I would recommend if anyone has the opportunity to do that, that they take off a little bit of time and just see it from a member perspective. I think most people actually come from being a member, so they probably have that. I never did. I never was only a member, and it was awesome. Um, yeah, and then I coached, last week for the first time in 6 months, and it was a 27-person class for Fran, and it was awesome. It was so good, so
That's
I
it.
just
Just jump right back into the pool.
yeah, I was like, "Well, no way to brush off the rust than a 27-person Fran." It was so good. Yeah.
On that note, 3, 2, 1, time.